Batgirl number 12, written by Gail Simone, art by Arjun Siaf. Last issue we left off with Batgirl coming after the detective explaining everything to Batgirl, and Batwoman is apparently keeping an eye on things. And so this issue picks up with pretty much the exact same place where Batgirl's getting more info out of the detective. The detective's like, okay, here's everything I know. Uh-oh, we're being attacked. And Batwoman swoops in, immediately starts beating up Detective McKenna. Batgirl is like, oh, gee, I've never actually met you, Batwoman. Hi, I'm Batgirl. And so at this point, McKenna is freaking out, like, Batwoman's with them. Get down, Batgirl. Starts taking off shots at Batwoman. She disarms McKenna, but then Batgirl steps in, like, hey, I need her. Please don't beat her into submission. To which Batwoman immediately flips around and starts attacking Batgirl. And Batgirl's like, okay, it's all right. I did my file reading, like she was army trained. I know how she can fight. And then is immediately blindsided by how much higher class of a fighter than Batgirl thinks she is. And so Batwoman just headbutts Batgirl, breaks her nose pretty much. She's like, all right, Uncle, Jesus. I was just saying I needed her conscious. What is wrong with you, lady? So at that point, Batwoman's like, oh, okay. Well, I suppose we can just let you talk for a while. No big deal. But they clear up that apparently because of all the corruption or whatever, Detective McKenna had captured the eye of the DEO, who Batwoman is currently working with. And then McKenna's like, you work for the DEO? Well, in that case, you're being played because I'm the one who set you up there. Which they don't go into anymore. But I'm guessing that'll happen some other place. Anyway, McKenna gets a buzz on her phone from Nightfall saying, hey, we found that boy you've been looking for. We're going to execute him tonight at Three Towers. Batgirl, come alone if you want to try to save him. So she's like, you think they're just, being hyperbolic with the whole execution thing? And they're like, no, they're genuinely going to try to kill you. Let me explain all these people's backstories. And that's explained over the course of a later fight, which I'll just explain now, though. The one with the wings, whatever, she has a name. I guess I'll get to it. Catharsis. She castrated a suspected pedophile, and everyone was like, great job, needed to be done. But then he was proved innocent, so oopsie. Second guy, the toxic guy, he brought a biological weapon into his school to show how underprepared people are for biological attacks. And then it went off. And then the last one, her daughters, and she was like a pro wrestler or something. Her name was Bonebreaker, a.k.a. Sally Sarasota. She had her daughters killed by a drunk driver. And yeah, she was upset, I suppose. And she apparently took the drunk driver, chained him to her rear bumper, and then drove around the neighborhood for half an hour. So that's the thing. Anyway, she says, all right, I guess I'll go to deal with these people. Then we get a one-page thing of Jim Gordon being woken up in the middle of the night of someone in Arkham, a guard, basically calling and saying, hey, you were going to find out soon, but I wanted to let you know as early as possible. Your son, who escaped apparently in a Arkham breakout in another book, he's still out there, and we don't know where he is. Okay, bye. And Jim's like, oh, God, no, that's awful. So we get to the fight scene. Batgirl showed up, and they're just like, are you sure we can't get you to join, Batgirl? We're just killing people. And she's like, yeah, that doesn't make it better. Let's fight. So they all start fighting. We see the fight going on some monitors as Nightfall, a.k.a. Carnes, is watching, and she's like, Batgirl did show up. I guess you're right, James Gordon Jr., who is standing there, and it's like, I'm glad I could help. Yeah, I protected you in Arkham while we were both there, so we have a very storied history. Anyway, I just like what you're doing, and that's the whole reason I'm helping. Bye. So, yeah, that's all we get on that. So anyway, the fight continues, and this is where they do the explanations of who everybody is. But then Batgirl's like, so you guys kind of lied about coming here to save him, because they revealed that they actually already killed him. So she just brought in Batwoman and McKenna, because if no one's going to keep their promises, then whatever. So Batwoman and McKenna take care of the three of them. Batgirl goes and tries to find Nightfall, but as she gets up to Sharice's office, she finds Ricky in a cage, like missing a leg, bandaged up on his face, like he is not okay, but he is alive. And so she tries breaking him out of the cage they're keeping him in, and he's like ranting and raving of like, she's the worst, she's just awful. But as she is listening to Ricky and focused on getting out of the cage, she doesn't realize the Nightfall is snuck up behind her and shivs her in her back. And so she's bleeding out from her ribs, saying, finally, I've killed Batgirl. And that's where we leave off. Surely on the final issue of Batgirl, because there's no way that's just a tease of a cliffhanger. That's definitely not going to happen. Oh, what's that? Batgirl still continuing? Wow, what a shock. So, as much as I joke about it, it was fine. It was a good issue. I think the Batwoman thing feels really out of place. Not in an awful way. Like, it's not, where it's Batwoman's acting out of character or whatever. She's fine in her own character sense. It's just, like, so shoehorned in as to why they're here. She may as well have just been like, oh, I was just in the neighborhood. Because at that point, yeah, sure, y'all work out of Gotham. May as well be. But instead they had a whole thing of Batwoman had to come in and fight the detective and then fight Batgirl for no... Like, why did... They actually don't really say why Batwoman attacked Batgirl, except that she was kind of in the fighting zone, and then Batgirl put a hand on her shoulder. I guess. So, it's okay. It's not the best issue. And in general, I do like that they're setting up the James Gordon Jr. stuff more often, because clearly that's what we're going to be doing next time. We're going to be going into that. I like how they're just like drip feeding it in here. But it again feels very convenient that like, oh, James Gordon Jr., you're the one who helped me in Arkham. And I'm this arc's villain and you're the next arc's villain. It just, at this point, just have them bump into each other at a coffee shop if you're just going to do that. So it's fine. It's good. Art is pretty good throughout. I do have a few minor quibbles with how heavily inked some of like the eyes are because they just want to put them in shadow, but everyone's got their own style. So I'm going to give this one I'll give it a 7. It's good. It's not doing anything offensively bad, but it's not great either. It's just a decent issue and a decent run.